Nice to see some friendly faces and names. Very cold, South Wales. Feels a bit cold here today, Sarah. However, not quite the temperature of Wales. And we'll wait a few more minutes before starting. We had over 60 registered for this, which is fantastic. And so let's see who we've got. We've got Ireland, Germany, Indonesia, New York, Ontario. Brilliant. I love the way it's such a global community. And
hello.
We're going to... Hello, how are you? And people
Oh, it's so great to see you. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late.
Don't worry, Dasha.
All right. Hello, everyone. Let me see if I can.
So people are still popping in, Dasha. So
okay.
I'm bringing them through. There was, as I said, there was over 60 registered. I've pressed record. There's 3 people who've messaged last minute they can't attend. So what I'll do, if it's okay, I will record, and then if anyone needs any bits deleting, let me know. And also, Dasha, if there's any bits you don't want out there, then also let us know, and then we'll put it on our YouTube channel. So welcome, everyone. We have the first Coach Me Community Cafe of 2024, and it's nearly February already. Where does the time go? And what I'd like to share first of all is the page on our website where you can see the rest of the community cafes as well. So we have Dasha today, and we have Samira's going to do a mentor coaching session live. So what happens there is we send you in advance a recording to listen to, and then Samira will mentor coach the coach who delivered the coaching live. They're always well attended. And we've also, I'm doing this at 2 different times of the day to support different time zones, a whistle-stop tour of facilitation, and you'll see that's a theme. There's the other one. That's a theme that's later in the year as well. Caroline's also doing a live mentor coaching demonstration. That one's in May. And then we've got the fabulous colleague of ours who was also, Elaine won the Coaching Impact Award with ICF. So I met her over in Orlando in August, which is also where I was totally struck by Dasha's work and why we've invited her today. We have Alex, who's in Australia, and she'll be talking in October about the topic of leadership and many different ways it comes into decision making and exploration for transformation. Now, the others are going on the website early next week. There's something for everyone, and there's a session each month. The bits of housekeeping. We've got a level 1 and 2 of ICF starting on the 6th of February. There's a rolling program, so you can dip in at any point for the level 3, which is for MCC. And we've also got the team coaching starting again in March. That is it from me. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Dasha, what can we do to support you in delivering your session?
Yeah, well, I guess I can share my screen, right? Yes, I
You
do.
can.
Yeah, I think I can. So I'm going to share my presentation and we'll just start from there.
Okay. And if you'll introduce yourself a bit more. So the bio's gone out.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's coming up next. Yeah.
Brilliant. The blend of photography and coaching. And
Oh,
I was literally emotional when I attended this session in ICF Converge, and it struck me as something so powerful, beautiful, different. And I know we're going to have a great time together now. Thank you, Dasha.
thank you. Thank you, Claire. All right. So can everyone see presentation? Yes. Okay, good. So I'm this is my cat Mora. She's going to be around me. So please, I hope everyone is pet friendly here. My house doesn't have doors between the rooms, so I don't have a space to close her anywhere. So she's just going to be roaming around. Thank you, Claire, first of all, for inviting me. I was so happy to receive an invitation, always happy to share my work with more and more people. And it was so great to see you and meet you at Converge 2023. And if any one of you here was present there or at my presentation, welcome again. For the first time or seeing me, I'm so happy to meet you all. Hopefully we can all stay in touch. Well, depending on whether you like my presentation or not, I guess. So let's see. I guess number one goal for me today, for you, to see the reasons why photography can become your number one tool to shift your client's perception of themselves in no time. Okay, so this is my approach to photography and coaching. I'll of course tell you more, but this is my goal for every session that I lead, and the session where I photograph my clients is to shift their perception, their self-image of themselves in no time. Now, a little agenda for today so that no one is too overwhelmed by amount of information. We know where we're going. We'll talk about self-image. What is self-image? This is basically the main area of my expertise, what I coach people on. Then I'll introduce you to some key elements of photography and as it relates to our perception of reality and perception of ourselves, of course. And then I'll introduce you to their method. That's the coaching that I do. This can be the first time, you're the first audience to see step-by-step actually outline of what do we do, when do I take pictures, and what do I ask people after the picture is taken. So that's going to be exciting. And then I'll show you some examples of my work and pictures, of course. And hopefully we'll have a moment to practice as well. We have, just to confirm, this is an hour and a half or an hour session?
In the middle of that, an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay, all right, perfect. So that I keep track of time. Perfect. So to tell you a little bit about myself, so I come from photography background. Prior to that, 2 different business schools, and also I like to call myself a boring business major because photography was so much more fun than just this. Some of you might disagree. I've been doing photography for over 10 years and specializing mainly in one-on-one individual sessions. And over some time, even before I came to coaching, someone told me, your photography sessions are so much like a therapy or a coaching session because of the way I would work with a person in front of the camera. I would tend to talk to them throughout the duration of the session and ask all sorts of questions and create the safe space as all of us coaches do. And so during pandemic, I lost all of my clients and my business, and there was a kind of a hand of God, I like to call that. Someone told me about the school, about coaching program, et cetera, et cetera. So I decided to give it a try. And I got certified as a life coach and then received my ACC. And it was almost natural to bring my camera into the coaching session because I've already been doing it for so long with the camera in my hand. So why don't I start meeting people with the camera and taking pictures of them? And so it all started like this huge experiment, essentially, if you will. And then over the last 2 years, as I've been developing this work, their method, the method of my coaching, has been born, and it's still a work in progress, largely. And that's why the deck that I'm presenting today is a slightly different deck from what was presented at Converge or any other presentations, because it's constantly evolving, and I like to add some more information to that. Okay, so before we go on, I invite everyone. Obviously, this is going to be, you know, an optional work, but if you will, and if you want to play around with me, I invite you to take a selfie of yourself. Since, Claire, if I'm understanding, we're sharing this further online on YouTube, I'd rather than probably ask you to take a selfie on your phone, so that that's going to be private and will respect everyone's privacy. We're not going to share these pictures with anyone. I'm going to take a selfie of myself as well. This picture we need to compare with the picture we'll be taking in the end of the session. So boom, voila. And for perhaps for the reasons of, let me see. I want to make sure I'll be able to share with you screenshots in the end. So I'll need to take a screenshot of me. How would I do this? Let's do this. I'll look in the camera. Boom. Okay, so we'll use that in the end. Boom. Next. So how it all started. It's very exciting. So some time ago, I was taking pictures of my clients, and I've noticed that every single person who comes into the studio brings the same sort of set of anxiety, if I may, with them, because it's always a very vulnerable space to be in front of the camera. By the way, if anyone of you ever been in front of the camera, I hope, well, not that I hope, but I'm sure you would agree that it's quite sometimes uncomfortable experience of having a person with the camera pointing right at you. And so what I've noticed, people typically would start a session from saying, you know, I'm so bad at this. I look so bad in front of the camera. And, you know, I don't know what to do with my hands. And if you can make me look a little smaller, a little younger, maybe, you know, remove the wrinkles, change the shape of my nose, change the shape of my ears, change everything. And I'm sitting there and thinking, oh my God, because my immediate and overall philosophy is that every person who shows up in front of me is this divine person, creature, human. There's nothing wrong about you. How can you even, right? And it seems like I have a different set of eyes than this person seeing themselves. So I start discovering this duality almost, right? That I see you as absolutely perfect human being, but what you tell me is that everything is wrong with you and something needs to be changed. So it turned out I was not the only one, obviously, interested in this subject matter. And as I've been doing my own research, I've come across Psycho-Cybernetics. That's a book by Maxwell Maltz on self-image. So he's a plastic surgeon who once upon a time realizes that not all of his clients, after receiving plastic surgery, are actually becoming much happier, or the quality of their or their self-esteem is increased. And through his own research and his own studies and observations, he understands that, well, yes, I can change the way you look, right? Your physical appearance. But if we don't work on your self-image, on what you think about yourself, on the concept of yourself, then no plastic surgery can really, you know, make you fully content and absolutely happy. And so I thought that, well, that actually makes sense. And so there are different schools of thoughts on self-image and what it is and how can we look at it. In positive psychology, there are three main components, which is this is the way a person perceives or thinks of themselves, that's one component, then how this person thinks that the world, the external surrounding, is thinking of themselves or viewing them. And then there is an idea of my ideal self. What would I like to be? What's the ideal version that I can see myself as? And logically, we of course understand that if your ideal self is different from the way you see yourself today, your perception of yourself today, then that creates this gap and creates a lot of turmoil. Not necessarily a lot of turmoil, but it does create a certain level of discomfort in you, because I realize in the moment of time that I'm not being my best version or ideal version of self. So that's how the negative self-image starts shaping and forming. And of course, that affects all of your actions and your life and the quality of life. Now, as I've been doing research on my own, these are two articles that I particularly like, that bring the idea that people with higher self-esteem tend to have their mental self-images close to their real appearance. Okay, and that's important. So what I see myself as, and like my ideal self and my real appearance, can be very close to each other, provided my self-esteem is high. So if I feel great about myself, then my real appearance and what I imagine in my mind is very close. There isn't much of a gap. So for me as a photographer, that gave me a lot of kind of pointers and informational that's interesting. So I can probably work with this, and I'll explain you where my thinking led me in a second. So at the same time, Maxwell Maltz in his book in Psychocybernetics talks about this idea of dehypnotizing yourself from negative self-image. So essentially, he talks about this power in the power, your essence, essential self, that always is there. And for you to change your self-image, to change the way to bring yourself sort of closer to the ideal self, you need to dehypnotize yourself from what he says, the ideas of I can't, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve it, and other self-limiting ideas that come together with a negative self-image, of course. So I was thinking, well, if there is a power within each one of us that we don't see, how do we make it real? Now,
Dasha,
yes.
I'm just jumping in.
Yeah.
The bottom bit of the slides we can't see. A few
You
people
can't
have
see
put
the
comments.
bottom of the slide? Oh, that's
So it's going through the words there.
sorry, guys. Well, why is that? I wonder. Hang on, let me fix this. Let's try to fix this. How's it now?
Yay.
Oh,
Absolutely
okay.
perfect.
Wow, that was an easy fix. Sorry, thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Claire. As I'm getting too passionate about this, so thank you for keeping an eye on the chat box. By the way, if anyone has any questions as we go, I think it's helpful to either type them in the chat box or write them down on a piece of paper, and we'll make sure to come back to them in the end. I think I want to go through the slides first, so that we definitely have time for everything and cover all of the material. Okay, great. So the reality. So for their method, what's important is to understand what do we consider as being real. Seeing is believing is basically the way the majority of us define our reality. As long as I see something, I know it exists. As long as I can measure something, I know it's real. So it's a cause and effect relationship. As long as I have money in my bank, therefore I know that I have money. As long as I have ring on my finger, I know that my partner is committed. So if I see, or as long as I lost 15 pounds, I know that I'm on the right track. So not until we receive a certain outcome will we be able to become more motivated or change the way we see ourselves. That gets a lot of us stuck. Because then it creates a lot of the time and space movement where I need to wait. I need to constantly wait until something happens, and then I see the result, and then I feel better. Now, how it relates to images and images in my work. I started looking back into, have we always been so dependent on what we see? Okay. And historically, I looked into, I mean, all sorts of resources. Okay, the image and face historically have been inseparable, as the role of image was to represent that which is unseen by the eyes. Okay, the image, the picture represents that which is unseen by the eyes, and we all have experienced that, or at least seen that in our life, or you know, observed other people doing it, coming to, let's say, churches and standing in front of the images of people that we've never seen in our life, in physical reality, but still we believe that there is power in that. Okay. A famous biblical saying, blessed are those who haven't seen, but yet believe. Okay, so this also a very groundbreaking work by David Levi Strauss, Photography and Belief, where he traces our relationship and the history of our relationship, of the relationship between images, photography, and face and belief. So what he says is that the believing based on, well, what this phrase says is that believing based on sight is an inferior belief. So it's not only what I see with my eyes. There is something bigger than that, okay? Something that goes beyond the physical image. Now, a little bit of history, and I promise it's not going to be boring in less than 5 minutes. Why this is important? So when the images have existed forever, when photography appeared first, it played a big role in defining and shaping our reality, and it still does, because we live in the world of images. When it happened so that in 1839, when the first camera was invented and introduced, at the same year, Auguste Comte is publishing his work proclaiming that rational mind being the main source of the truth and knowledge. What does it mean for photography? As that camera becomes an instrument of recording the truth, recording the reality. And for many, many years forward, we're using images as the proof of something that exists, okay? There is also this great quote about the 19th century that, you know, we started by believing that what was reasonable was true, and we ended up believing that what we saw on photograph was true. So image became sort of a proof of what was real. And for many of us still, if we look at the picture of ourselves, we assign a certain meaning based on what we see without going any further beyond that. Now, 100 years ago, we entered into a new definition of reality, or rather, a new definition of reality was introduced to us by a number of most famous physicists. I know quantum world, quantum mechanics is such a popular topic right now. I'm not going to go into the details of physics and explaining the details of those theories, but what it means, what it is important for us to understand, that quantum particle, what they described in the Copenhagen interpretation, that quantum particle does not exist in one state or another, but in all of its possible states at once. So what it means, there is untapped potential that is available for all of the events, for all of us, that we're not constantly tapping into. So there are available possibilities and potentials. We happen to be in this state right now. for the purpose of coaching, the way I use it with my clients is to explain them the difference between known self and unknown self. Okay, so the known self would be everything that I know about myself. I look into the mirror, I know that this is my weight, this is my hair color, this is how I look like, this is how I identify myself, this is my past history, this is my background, this is everything that I can tell you about me based on what I know. And then there is unknown self, which is my unknown potential, which is my, well, you can also call it your ideal self that I haven't experienced maybe yet, right? And do I always tap into that? How often can I tap into this? Do I ever even try to or attempt to describe what it means? What is this my unknown self? What would be possible for me, right? And in my work, why this matters is because this defines the process of change. So in 3D physical world, if I'm only dependent on physical, on material shape and form, then in order for me to change the way I see myself, that would be very easy. I would just make a plastic surgery and I would look around with a different face thinking, okay, change just happened. I'm a different person now. Or I can retouch my images. I can, just like a lot of my past clients would come to me and say, can you make me 10 years younger? And then I'll be different and I'll have a picture that I will believe that is true. But as also Maxwell Maltz in his book said that, that's not going to provide a long-lasting effect, as we understand. Now, when we go into 5D and into the energy dimension, we know that my ideal self exists already right now at this moment. My unknown self exists at the same time as the known self is. And so in order for me to make change happen, I don't need to change the way I look. I can change the way I feel. I can change the way I feel about myself, the way I see myself. Now, for that, I would need to, again, dehypnotize myself from past. And my question to myself was, how do I do it? How do I help people change the way they see themselves without changing the way they look? Okay. This was one of my questions before doing a series of experiments. Can I take a photo of you today that will represent your ideal self? So I take a physical picture of you, and that's going to be, you're going to carry it around with you, knowing that this is a representation of your ideal self. Okay. So about 1.5 years ago, I started my self-image project, which was an experiment. I had several volunteer participants whom I invited to a photo studio. It was a one-on-one kind of session process. So the question or the request that I had to every participant was, can you bring me one question related to your self-image? And we will do a coaching session on it. And the questions ranged from why my family doesn't see me the way I see myself, what's in the way of me becoming my ideal self, why is there such a gap, why I am afraid to be seen or exposed, and all sorts of things about how do I perceive myself. And so what I would do, I would take a photo of my client before the beginning of conversation or at the very beginning of conversation. And then we go through a coaching arc. And in the end of the session, I'll take another photo of them. And then we'll see what happens, because it's an experiment, so we don't know. And so the experiment was quite great, because it turned out that picture can be such a great complement to a coaching session, because suddenly you have a visual representation of the entire process, or rather before and after, where we started and where we ended. And even, we don't with these clients particularly, we had conversations afterwards and the feedback sessions afterwards. You don't need words to describe it. I can just show them the picture. They know exactly what they felt in the beginning and what they felt in the end. And they know that that power is available to them to shift. And so the picture itself represents that power that is available to them, because they understand, well, I'm being the same person on first picture and on the second picture, but I know that the person on the first picture is full of doubt, and the person on the second picture is completely relieved and liberated from, at least, if not everything, but at least partially, some of the questions that they brought originally into the session. And obviously, it doesn't have to be only self-image related. It can be any kind of question, any sort of inner turmoil that's going on with a person. You can, by showing them a picture of themselves, you can also prove to them, well, this is what you did. This is what is available to you at any moment of time. And in my case, what was important is that they would see that the ideal self exists in them in this moment of time, in every moment of time. You either tapping into it or not. And if you're not tapping into that, then let's talk about it and see what are the reasons why you're not choosing to be that, but it's clearly that option is available to you. It's always on the table. Is yourself as that ideal person, being confident, being like really daring and stepping yourself, putting yourself into the spotlight and being on the stage. Like I work a lot with people on their executive presence and, you know, being confident in front of the camera or in front of the people. So you need to feel as that version of yourself in order to kind of bring that knowledge more to the surface and remember who you are. And upon the exit from the meditative state, I take another picture of them. And so that picture represents that ideal self. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to experiment. We're going to experiment with you just in a second. So after we have two pictures, I share the screen. Or if we have one picture, so I share a screen with the client and invite them to reflect on what do you see, what emerges for you from this photo. If that's a side-by-side comparison, then particularly, let me show you this. So this was well, more or less recent session in November. So you can see I took the timestamp from the camera. After the session was over, we had another call to take a look at the pictures. And my question was, well, what emerges for you? What becomes apparent? What is the knowledge that is now available for you through these pictures, right? What is, when you look at those images, what do you choose to focus on? What is new? What is old? What do you know? What is unknown for you? So there's actually like the amount of questions you can ask or don't ask. And just sometimes it's better to sit in the quiet and feel into it. And those are probably the best moments when the realization hits you that, wow, I mean, with this person, the subject matter was, she felt disconnected from, and that's her version of, that's her saying, disconnected from my miraculous nature. It's a very unique to her, well, you need to know the person, unique to her way of phrasing it, that I'm disconnected from what I know myself as. And I can't seem to get back into self-remembrance and knowing who I am and what I am. And so through coaching conversation, we arrived at the place of this big joy and liberation and finally coming home to self, which I think this picture is just a great confirmation of that. So that's what I have as far as the slides, and I have the last exercise for all of us, since we already took the pictures in the beginning, and we still have time, which is excellent. I invite you, if you're up to it, to do a little visualization, just like I would do with my clients. So you can, obviously, you and I didn't go through coaching session here, but hopefully you already feel that you're safe, safe with me to share a playground. So I invite you for a moment to think of, if you knew that you can tap into unlimited number of potentials available for you. Anything is available for you right now, anything. What would you like to see in yourself? What is it? What is it that you would like to feel, if you don't like the word see? And this can be as wide as possible, but if there's something on your mind in particular, maybe quality or even look or feeling, then we can just focus on it. No right or wrong answers, of course. And yeah, why don't we do a guided meditation? So I invite you to adjust your seat and close your eyes. This is not going to be a long one, I promise. And I'm also keeping the track of time. So, and let's take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. And one more time, deep inhale. And exhale. Okay. As you're coming back to your normal breathing, let's bring all of your focus and attention inward. You're looking inside. See if you can connect to your center line, to your core. You might wish to assign a color or shape, a form to it. And as we're giving more and more attention and focus to our inner space, our core, our center, become more and more in touch with it, becomes more and more apparent to us. And just notice what it feels like to be connected to your inner power. Pretty effortlessly, nothing for you to do. This is just you becoming aware of your inner core, inner center. And let's take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale. And as you're staying with it, with all your focus inside, bring back that thought, that idea that you had before the meditation. about what is it, how would you like to see yourself, knowing that everything is possible. See what would it feel like to be that person you're imagining. Notice if there are any changes to the intensity of your inner space, inner power. There's nothing for you to do. Just keep on connecting to that potential, to that idea that is available to you right now. If there's any tension in your body right now, any contraction, on the next exhale, I invite you to relax even more into your own power. Let's take a deep inhale. And exhale, relax. Now slowly, without breaking this state, I invite you to start opening your eyes. And as you opening your eyes, I invite you to take another selfie of yourself. And I'm going to do the same. Okay. Just connect to your normal breathing here. I'm going to do another little experiment if I can. So I want to show you how I share screen, and then we'll open to discussion, okay? Just bear with me for a second. Boom. And that's the second photo. This is something I could not show at in-person ICF Converge, so this is going to be fun. All right. Boom. So for this, I need to stop sharing this presentation, and I'm going to jump into my Photoshop look. Can you see the screen? Yeah. Okay. All right. So, I mean, this is not maybe an ideal photo of me trying to figure out Photoshop on the left-hand side. But you can see the first image on the left-hand side. This is we just met. I'm just coming into the session. I'm not going to even give you more descriptors. You saw me. And the picture on the right-hand side is right after I was connecting to my grounded state of being what I feel like the most powerful and confident and calm and relaxed. And so typically this is how I would work with another person. And because I'm a photographer, I use Photoshop. Let's talk about technicalities. I use Photoshop. You can drop this into Canva. I think everyone uses it these days for all sorts of marketing things. Or you can just simply share a photo from any photography application you have on your computer. So with that being said, I think I'll stop sharing this. I can jump into maybe that and just leave you with my contact information and open up. You can take screenshots if you'd like, or I mean, I'm sure you have my contact information. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and all other platforms. Feel free to call me, text me, email me. Also ask me about self-image sprint that I'm running in February for a week, if you're interested more in my work. So since we have 15 minutes, which is great, I'm happy that we get to talk with you. And if you have any questions, of course.
I've got one question, Dasha. First of all, thank you so much. It's just so interesting, and I feel really calm after the visualization activity. So thank you for that. I'm curious, have you ever done the same approach with group coaching or team coaching, or just in one-on-one?
So that's a great question, because I've been thinking a lot about that. And for the first time, I'm running this self-image sprint, which is going to go for 1 week, which is all remote. I have a small group of people who sign up. What they're going to do is that they will be taking selfies of themselves every single day. Through my, I'll be guiding through visualization. I'll be supporting them every day with voice notes, and we're going to have 3 group calls to discuss the images and go over that. So that's going to be my first experiment in the group space. I'll be happy to report afterwards how it goes. Yeah, because I truly believe that this can be done on your own, because I do it for myself. So I self-coach myself a lot. I mean, I have other coaches, we cross-coach together, but I photograph myself a lot to bring myself into the space, and also to remind myself every day that I pass by the mirror, that what I see in the mirror is not my past self. What I see in the mirror is my potential. And that's the only way I want to see myself, as everything that I haven't tapped into yet, and what's available for me on every given day. So even when, right now everyone is restarting the gym activities and working out, so I'm on the same page. So every day I stand up in front of the mirror and I'm seeing myself in a denser body. And I refuse seeing myself as anything else but that, even though I'm not in that shape yet. And so I train basically the idea behind this practice is that you train your eyes to bypass the physical information and see beyond just the shape of the body, see what's available to you. So, and yeah, group coaching, yes.
Thank you. And Lisa, you've got your hand up.
Thanks, Dasha. That was delightful.
Right.
And I loved your discussion about quantum physics, because I filtered that into my discussions. Lots of work, energy as a medium. And my question for you is, self-image is a very mental construct. And my sense is from meditations, you help people drop down into their body. But how do you use photography to help them bridge that gap between the mind and the heart, or the mind and the body, so they are more complete? Because I often think of ideal image more as the egoic aspect, the personality side, and that's just semantics, what you use versus what I use. But yeah, if you can elaborate, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. I think it has a lot to do with my own relationship with photography, as I see photography as more of energy transference process than just a picture of your physical shape and form. So I have to say that every person that comes to work with me during my introductory call with them, or chemistry call, as some people call it, I do tell a lot about picture taking and why we're taking pictures and what is the meaning behind that, because they need to also understand that what we're taking pictures of, it's very easy to start judging yourself and go into egoic mind and see all the, oh my God, what kind of ideal image is that? I mean, me too. I mean, looking at myself at those pictures that I showed you of the screenshot, yeah, that's far away from my ideal image. But the whole point is that we're not taking picture of we're not taking pictures of your surface of your ego. We're taking picture of that. It's an imprint of your energy, essentially.
Of your essence.
Yeah, of your essence, because we can even go deeper to describe the photographic process as the light falling onto you, reflecting off the surface onto the camera mirror, right? So together with the light that is being reflected off you, there is also energy that is being reflected onto the camera surface. So it is only, I guess it's logical to me, but at least to me, it's logical that what we record in the photograph is not only, what you see with your eyes, but it's much deeper. It's your heart, it's your soul, it's your vibration, and that takes time for some people to make a leap into, okay, this is not, I'm not seeing my wrinkles, I'm not seeing my, but this is what I see. And that is training. This requires training. It's like muscle in the gym. Like I was showing the 4 pictures of that girl that it took us a month to get to the place where, okay, this is a picture that is really, and I'm okay being photographed too.
So the picture is almost an energetic imprint.
Exactly.
Rather than a physical image.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yeah. Anyone else? I saw some questions about where am I based? I'm based in New York City. Yeah. Any other questions?
Certainly a lot of appreciation in the
Thank
chat,
you
Dasha,
so much. I'm so happy.
and seeing it as a very different approach. Any more questions?
Well, if anyone has questions afterwards, I'm always available and up to hanging out offline and offline, online. Feel free to schedule, time to chat, speak, even try, or even if you have more questions or any technical questions of like, when do I take pictures, what happens before, after, because it's a big topic to narrow down to 1 hour. Obviously, there's more that we can go into photography, into self-image, into perception of self, into being a coach, and what does it mean to be a coach, holding a space for someone who makes that transition from a limited view of self into unlimited view of self, and whom do you need to be as a coach to provide that room, that space. So yeah. How has this impacted the photography side of your business? I'll tell you that I guess as the time passed, I've been doing more and more of photography sessions that still look like a coaching session. So I think the type of clients that I attract has changed, because people have been finding out more and more about the type of coaching work that I do. So now people that come to me, especially for studio sessions, are looking to relax into their greatness, right? And actually, another way how it impacted my work is that I've started photographing more coaches. And ever since I came back from Converge, there's been like a constant, it's very interesting that, that I work with new coaches or established coaches who want to be photographed and go through that process of how do I see myself? How can I see myself as the unlimited self? And how can I take the pictures of myself that represent me as the most potential and powerful version of me. So from that perspective, yeah, great question. And certainly I lost some clients who were not interested in, who were just interested in pretty pictures, but I never wanted to photograph that anyways. So yeah, I like long, deep conversations in the studio, long sittings. So I guess that's all good. Anyone else?
So I know that Anita's got a question, and then there's two more in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a question, Anita?
Yes, I have a question. I did it for my for my hypnotherapist sessions, but I think Dasha did a very great sessions before and after. Interesting. In your picture, you have a candid picture, or you ask permission for the from the client. Yeah.
That's a great question, because in the past, when I just started doing this work, I would always ask a person, and I would tell, we're gonna take a photo, and as we go through a meditation, before going into meditation, I tell them, so we're gonna do this exercise right now, and after we're done with this exercise, I'll take a picture of you. So that used to be my process. Just recently, I had the conversation with a client who told me, I trust you. You can take pictures of me throughout the entire coaching session. I don't care. You can just like keep on and that's funny, because this is how my photography works. So it's very intuitive. I would take pictures because nowadays you can take it with silent shutter, so the camera doesn't make any noise. So we would basically sit in front of each other, and I would take pictures whenever I feel the client is experiencing something or having a breakthrough without asking or interrupting. So now that I had this coaching client's question, well, rather suggestion to take pictures whenever, I think that's even a better situation. I think it's better, and it challenges me as a coach to paying so much attention to your whole state of being in the moment, that I know exactly when to take a picture of you. Whenever I sense that, awesome. And I think, as coaches, we do that. We can say, oh, I've noticed something. Do you mind if I share what I've observed? In my case, it would be, oh, I've noticed something. I take a picture and I'll share with you what I've observed. Can you tell me what is it that I've noticed? So that could be a really cool way of experimenting with that too. Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Dasha.
Thank you. That's a great
session.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then there's Jessica in the chat. How long does each session take for the client to see that change?
I aim for my personal goal is to have just one session. That's my goal. I like to challenge myself, because the only reason why I like to challenge myself, because I know for sure that this is available to every client. So there shouldn't be any reason for me to not be so sure about it, not to aim as high as just one conversation. Just give me one chance. I'll show it to you. That being said, of course, there are different situations, there are different arrangements, different packages or formats. Typically, and I can share it openly, so I sign clients for 1 month. With with an additional extension if we need to. But my promise is that 1 month is definitely going to show you something that you haven't seen about yourself, while aiming for the first session to be transformational already.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
And Katie's got a question.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire. Dasha, I just love your work. I saw you at Converge and I
I
signed up
remember
for
you.
your,
Yeah,
your
that's right.
self-image
It's great to
sprint
see you
coming up
again.
next week. Yeah. So good to see you. And I wanted to share that I'm experiencing an application of your work for coaches, for presence, for how they show up in the sessions. I've found myself in sessions glancing up at the little picture of me. I do all virtual and it's like, wow, okay, I am fully present. And then there's other times that I'm, showing up more of like your before picture. And it's once you've experienced the shift of being fully in, the photography is also another tool for the coach to be fully aware. And I just really love that, and just wanted to share it with the group.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love that.
thank
I
you.
have not thought about it. That's great.
And leading on from that, Katie, I was also thinking how useful this would be in supervision sessions as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Supervision, mentoring on our own as coaches. Yeah, so many applications. It's just beautiful work.
That's great. I'm happy to inspire if I can and share everything that I know. And also, who knows, maybe we can design or create something together. Who knows?
Fantastic. And then Yuli in the chat's talking about the logistics. Do you meet them weekly or bi-weekly? What does the sort of package look like?
Yeah, for the new time clients, I meet weekly. So first month is once a week. And then usually we go into bi-weekly. And then monthly, depending on, again, I think it's also so personal and depending on the availability of clients. I would say that my suggestion is always first month, we meet once a week. Plus I provide in between the coaching sessions support. So I record voice messages to clients with a summary of our session. So for them to kind of also think about or ask certain questions, because I oftentimes find myself thinking and reflecting on what we were talking about and how else can I support this person, what else can I give. And so if I have any thoughts, I would record something in between the sessions as well. With long-term clients is once a month because they know that I'm available on text messages, etc. But seeing each other once a month is fun to have life updates.
Really useful.
Excellent.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
And so, thank you so much, Dasha. Lovely to connect with you again. Wonderful session. I've learned different than Converge, so I love holding these Coach Me community cafes because I sit here and get to learn as well. Appreciate your time, appreciate your energy and your sharing. Thank you everyone for coming, and
Thank you
we'll
so
see
much.
you. I'll see some of you soon because we're in supervision training, and the rest we'll see at the next community cafe.
Thank you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.